Job search when you're over 40 or over 50. In my case, I was about that age when I had to navigate that portion of my life where I needed to maintain employment and had to decide whether that was going to be what I've always done in the past, or, as I later learned, was it an opportunity to rebrand myself and really start to pursue the passion. What did I love the most about my past roles that I might have been limited to within those roles? And what am I looking to avoid in my next job? In today's video, we're going to talk about the paradox of experience. And what I mean by that is, if you're over 40 and looking for a job, you've come from something else, most likely, and you have a wealth of experience, you have a wealth of knowledge, and that is amazing, and celebrate that, and it's something you will be leveraging. The issue with it is that you've got that experience possibly in a narrow area, and you've gone from role to role, and maybe through promotion, which is fantastic. But you've been out of the career search and the job hunt game for a while, and you're now actually in the market with some other younger candidates who don't have the experience that you have, but they have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. And through their youthful exploits and their time at university, especially here in Canada, maybe have had several internships over the past 4, 5, 6 years. They have every season had to go out and get a new job. They are very well equipped. They've worked with career coaches like myself who get them very ready for resume writing, cover letter, interview prep, networking, how to apply, job search techniques, and they are attractive to employers. So you've got this great experience being over 40, but you might not have experience in job search, and that's the paradox. You're almost, I don't want to say overqualified, but it's something that you can't just rest on your laurels. You can't just talk about you've done something for 20 years or 15 years. It's what are you going to do with it for that firm? Pace of work is moving, and the acceleration of technology is at a blinding speed these days. So having done something for 20 years doesn't necessarily mean you're up to date and are the most current. And you need to speak, yes, to your experience in doing that thing, but the skills you developed along the way that's going to help maintain your currency going forward and the value you're going to bring to that company. As someone farther along in their career who's looking to re-enter the job force, instead of having to reinvent yourself or invent yourself, depending, as younger candidates will have to do as they're introducing themselves to the job market, you've been in it for a while. So now you're looking back and you're reporting, defining, communicating what your value has been. And there's 3 main things you want to focus on. One of them, as we've talked about before, is your why. What gets you out of bed every day? What excites you? Why does your resume look like it does? Not necessarily what you want your career arc to be, as some people who are younger would work on. You can look back now and know your why, because it's driven you and guided you across your very experiences. And it'll be very comfortable for you to communicate that. You won't be selling, you'll just be telling. And that's a much comfortable way of communicating. The second piece is going to be talking about your passion with that and how you want to pivot and act on that. You talked a bit about it in your why, what gets you out of bed, but now what do you want to do with that? And maybe it's similar to your past role, but maybe you want to take it in a different aspect. I used to help people with technology, and now I want to help people with career search. I like to solve creative problems in the financial sector, and now I want to do that in sustainability projects. The role I'm going into may seem new in some aspects, but the skill I bring to it is core. But how does it relate to the employer? Imagine anything you're ever saying to an employer or a recruiter, at the end of every sentence, they say, "So what?" How would you answer that? Or hopefully they don't need to say "so what," because you answered that or you discussed that in your story as to how you want to apply your passion skills to their company and to the role. As you're putting together your resume, you'll start reviewing these pieces that, what was important to you to put down on that piece of paper? What are you going to write down that you want to embrace and take into your next role? Just because you did it in the past and did it well, or it was your responsibility, doesn't necessarily need to be the thing that is being added to your application. What you're going to be looking to do is taking the pieces of the roles that you're looking to do now. Again, if you were all about spreadsheets in the past and the new role is all about team building and communication, well, those are the things you want to lean into. If you've got experience from several decades, you've probably got a long laundry list of things that you're experienced and skilled at. But question if you really need to take all that with you. When you're moving house, before you move everything out of the basement, do you really need to take it all? It's all yours. You own it all. But maybe there's some baggage there you might want to get rid of or give away. And you really just want to take what's truly important to you and what's going to make the next phase of your career enjoyable. There's basically 3 different ways that you may move in your career. You may want to stay exactly where you are and just re-enter the workforce, maybe at a slightly larger firm or maybe in a different location in another part of the country. That's fairly straightforward. There is still a need to do the networking and the research and your applications that make yourself stand out and to communicate very clearly your value proposition. The second thing you could do is change either your function or your industry. Changing a function could be, I work in the technology sector in marketing, and now I want to move into accounting because I work closely with the accountants and I learned a lot of things and I'm good at it now. That can be a challenge. You have to demonstrate very clearly where you haven't had that specific title, but you did that work, or the skills that you learned at the role that you had make you a very strong candidate because there's a lot of overlap to that different function. The other thing you might want to change is I want to keep the function. I want to stay in marketing, but I don't want to work in technology. I want to work in finance. I want to work maybe in banking. And I want to work with a different type of product, but the function I do should be the same. Again, speaking to what you loved about your past role and how you would translate that into a new sector will be critical for that conversation. The final, not often talked about, is, especially if you're in the over 40 category like myself, over 50, is changing both your function and your industry. I don't want to be marketing and technology. I want to be an accountant at a bank or a finance firm. That's a challenge. Not unreachable, but you're going to have to do a lot of convincing, probably some upskilling. It's not something that happens a tremendous amount, but as long as you can tell the story and explain how you develop the skills that you will move into both those new functions and industries, you can have a case. My recommendation is when you're doing that transition, it's staying the course. But again, even that, this is an opportunity for you to, if you absolutely were passionate about your job and didn't want to change a thing, great. You're very, very lucky. In my case, I had a wonderful role, but there were things about it that I really wanted to change. And my re-entry into the career search world allowed me to, again, revisit my why. What was the best part of my job, the part that I would like to do every day? And in my case, it was working with students and helping people solve problems. I was in tech, but that wasn't my passion. It could have been with anything. I liked helping, teaching, coaching, consulting people to solve interesting problems on a large scale and for themselves on a personal level. So that's the skill set I leaned into when I went from technology into higher ed and university level career coaching and corporate relations. And if you're not changing functions and you're just changing the industries, it's almost a bit easier. You are an expert at doing, whether it's accounting or marketing or sales or operations. And now you want to take it to a larger scale. You want to move from pharmaceuticals into technology. You want to move from, consumer packaged goods to real estate. But you know the tools, and now you are bringing your excitement. And everyone's going to be learning something day one on the job, and be okay with that. Be okay admitting that. But there are some things that they don't have to teach you day one on the job, which is what makes you that great experienced hire. So you're going to be talking about how your experience with the industry is going to allow you to move functions easily because you know all the players already. Or you can talk about how your move from one industry to the other is going to be smooth because you know the skills very, very well. And now you're just going to be working in a slightly different environment. As long as you've got the story and you can speak to it honestly, you're going to do fine. The phrase I've said before too is if you're telling the truth, you never have to remember anything. So the benefit of the experience that you have is that you're not trying to impress somebody with, your potential. You will in some instances, but it's your potential is based on you've got a track record already. You've got a couple of decades of work behind you that proves it's not just they're not taking a gamble on you. You're going to be a solid performer day one, and that's that piece of the paradox of experience, where on some sides it's going to help you tremendously, and other sides it's not going to hurt you, but it's just you can't just let your experience do all the work for you. It will help, but in this market, you really got to communicate how does that experience benefit this role and our company. And the last piece I wanted to mention is that continuing of networking. Again, networking is sort of the get you in the door is what you consider that. But truly, regardless of where you're at in your career or the age you're at, networking should never really be ending. Networking, as I've talked about before in my previous videos, networking is research. It's not job search. You can be using it to learn more about a company that you will be applying to. It will help with your job search eventually, but that's not the initial piece of it. You're not just talking to people that will hire you. You're not just only talking to someone who can specifically do something for you to get you into that firm. You're talking to people to learn something. You may have a discussion with somebody who teaches you something that makes you want to run away from that job or that company. It sounds terrible. And that's invaluable information to have. So networking is something you'll always do. You're at the job. You've been successful, but maybe you're looking at moving departments at the company or moving up the ladder. That is all networking. That is letting people know your value proposition, your brand. So that will help you move forward. Networking never really, really ends. But if you haven't done a lot of it and you've had, you've moved easily through a company or through companies, but now you're looking at doing a change and you're over 40 and you haven't networked in a job, in a career advancement type framework before, this is the time to get back into it. It will be a bit different. Again, going back to that paradox of experience, you may not have a lot of experience with this, but you've got to be very open. That's the trick with this one, is that when you're younger and you're networking and you're trying to learn more, doing that research, you're talking to maybe more established folks in the industry to learn their wisdom and get their sage advice. In your case, when you're reaching out to do networking, you might be talking to people younger than you. And that's okay. They will be able to give you information that you need. Are they going to be able to hire you? Maybe not. The vast majority of people you talk to on LinkedIn or through networking can't hire you unless they're a recruiter. And as we've talked about before on LinkedIn, they're not always easy to find because when people know they're a recruiter for a firm that's a target of theirs, they get pinged a lot. A lot of requests come through. But being open to reaching out to anybody, regardless of their age, even if you would consider yourself their mentor in a past life, in a past role, don't let that put you off. They've got insight that's going to help you with your research. And again, this is about doing the research. So, in my case, put the ego aside a little bit. Talk to people that are executing on that very, very well. They for the thing that you're looking at doing, they may be more experienced, even though they might have been only in the workforce, a decade or two less than you. They've got an experience possibly that you've actually never had. That with gaining that insight as part of your research, with your vast experience, is going to make you an outstanding candidate. So be open to getting that advice and feedback from anyone you're networking with. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining me for this video. I just wanted to cover that one piece of the paradox of experience. It's been bouncing around in my brain for a while. Love to get your thoughts on it, or if you'd like to get some more information and I can delve into it even deeper in a future video, I'd love to do that. I've done that with my past videos when I did the why video, and I realized I really didn't do a good enough job explaining how to get your why, just how important it is to have. Not very helpful. So hopefully that one video helped describe and provide more value to the first video. And if that's required for this, please let me know. Happy to put one together for you. As always, thank you for watching if you have been. Hit the like button if you want to, and hit subscribe to make that algorithm happy. And I'll see you on the next one.